The transcendent iridescence of atomic fire, a destruction so grand in scale that it defies quantification. It makes you wonder what's scarier, the bomb, or the mind that willed it into... Okay, it's getting a little close here. Guys? Alright, bomb is scarier, guys! The beauty of the Fallout franchise is that it treats the end of the world as a new beginning. An apocalypse is just another way for us to wipe the slate clean and begin again. This wasteland could be much more than humanity's epilogue.
Wasteland? I think you mean Wonderland!
Your regular life may be boring, but in the world of Fallout, that same mundanity could be reborn into something twisted. Fallout gives you an open world where you can roleplay as whatever you want. You can be an angel who saves the world, or a devil who puts more microplastics in our balls. You can be a smooth talker that never fights, or a zero-intelligence caveman that can't spell fight. You can explore towns like the Hub, or beyond the Hub. Get out there, explore and see what's left of the world. See those who thrived and those who tried. Because when the world ends, there's no one left to tell you how your new life begins. What truly made Fallout special, though, is the world that it left behind. This 1950s fever dream of Americana and science. Robots who think and speak. Iron Man suits. But there's no iPhone, so are they even trying? It's a truly unique world that feels so familiar, and yet so alien. And this world is at its best when it's treated with subtlety. You stumble upon a rusted out car, or an old radio broadcasting dead air, or Shell's gas prices, and you just wonder, how could such a perfect looking society fall so far? The subtlety is what sells it. Just about every Fallout game attempted to follow those ideas. It's the secret sauce to their success and longevity. But there was once a time when a Fallout game ignored these principles, and the results were catastrophic. A game so hated that it almost tanked the entire Fallout franchise. Fallout: Brotherhood of Steel.
Someday, we'll rebuild a civilized world. Until then...
For all intents and purposes, this game does not exist. Some Fallout fans don't acknowledge it, or even know about it. Bethesda Studios, the current owners of Fallout, released a, quote, complete collection of Fallout games to celebrate the series. Every Fallout game ever released in one convenient bomb, except Brotherhood of Steel. They do it again. The definitive collection, and again, no Brotherhood of Steel.
Where is the Brotherhood?
The largest online gaming marketplace has the Fallout franchise bundle. Brotherhood of Steel is nowhere to be seen. But don't worry, the season pass is here, thank God. GOG has no BOS. Gaming outlets reporting on the legality of Fallout's intellectual property rights. Oops! In the canon of the Fallout universe, Brotherhood of Steel is just fan fiction. Bethesda employees joke about keeping the game around on their desk as a Horcrux, which should be treated like any other Horcrux. Todd Howard himself said that Brotherhood of Steel never happened. So what the hell did happen with this game? It's tough to give a simple answer, because this game's story is one told through legal battles, desperation, Slipknot, whatever this is.
Duty over, Bob. Me have to go party. No!
Bankruptcy, balls, and the friends we made along the way. Yet this insane spin-off might have more in common with one of the greatest games in the entire series. But to get there, we need some context. Interplay Entertainment. They've spent most of the 90s dropping games for the PC, Descent, Carmageddon. But this year, a small group of developers will finish their work on a game called Fallout. In current year, with how successful Fallout is now, you would think this was the game Interplay would risk everything for, but Fallout's origins were far more humble.
Fallout was a B-tier project at Interplay. We like being a B-tier project. We like the fact that we're off in the corner for years with very little adult supervision. There were a lot of other projects at Interplay that were better funded, had bigger teams, and were prioritized above Fallout.
From the very beginning, player choice was a core design pillar of Fallout. The moment you're out of the starting area, you can go wherever you want. Do you find talking boring? Do you want to skip every side quest in town? Fallout says go for it, King. This big scary final boss? You don't even have to fight him to beat the game. Roleplay as a high charisma used car salesman and offer him a Ford Fiesta. Game over. Fallout releases in 1997. Critics love it. Fans love it. The RPG genre will never be the same after this. Fallout was now Interplay's golden goose, and they wanted some more eggs. 1 year later, and most of the team behind the original Fallout were now part of a new studio called Black Isle, an in-house developer for Interplay. They cook up a sequel to Fallout, Fallout Dead Reckoning. This time, it's personal. Nah, what about Fallout Requiem? Or yeah, Fallout 2, that works too. What was that giant crack? Why don't you stop asking perfectly reasonable questions and consume product? I'm sure it will have no bearing on the future of this series later on, okay? So Fallout 2 releases in 1998. The Golden Goose had done it again. An even bigger world to explore, more memorable characters, further role-playing possibilities, and my gym teacher. Despite a more wacky tone and a few too many pop culture references here and there, Fallout 2 knocked it out of the park. These two games, well...
they're bangers, if you know what I mean.
A few years later, and Interplay went back again to their Golden Goose. Only this time, they wanted a spin-off game.
Give me a game we can slap the Fallout brand on and just build from an already existing game engine, okay?
Interplay said.
Oh, and also, Default Cheesecake makes the best videos ever and is so handsome it does not get called too ugly by the lady at Nordstrom Rack to use a changing room.
Just paraphrasing there. So Interplay publishes Fallout Tactics. Ignore that, please. Although it wasn't made by Black Isle Studios, the team behind Fallout 2, but by Microforte. And for the first time, Fallout had misstepped. Tactics was more focused on combat encounters and linear missions. Role-playing was secondary to strategy, or tactics. It was a departure from the core Fallout identity, so Fallout fans had mixed feelings about it. Some despised it for betraying the franchise, while others thought it was fine. At least everyone could agree though that the art direction was the coolest thing ever. The game performed okay and was received slightly above average, but it was no sequel to Fallout 2. If only the fans back then knew how bad a spin-off really could get.
What are you?
Oh, I'm you, sweetie. You just give it a little time.
Because not long after Fallout Tactics released, Interplay knew they needed another mainline Fallout game, not some spin-off.
We need money!
Work begins on a new game. A leak. Something called Fallout Fantasy is being developed at Black Isle Studios. The fans reacted calmly and penned a cordial letter expressing their cautious optimism. Nah, they were going like this. A new Fallout game that's not a spin-off, and it's being made by the OG developers. A true follow-up to the role-playing richness of the originals. Hallelujah. Every drop of information from this game was analyzed, synthesized, and hyped. The code name for this mysterious game drops, and it's called Fallout Van Buren, but most fans would call Van Buren what it really was. Fallout 3. Woo! Let's go, baby. Fallout 3, baby. Let's go. Oh. It turns out those cracks we've been ignoring have become a gaping chasm. Since Fallout 2, the series has had problems. During development for Fallout 2, some of the key minds from the Fallout 1 think tank had left Interplay due to managerial and artistic differences. A brain drain that would continue to plague Interplay with each Fallout title, as more and more talent cashed out. And cash was not something Interplay had much of either. Check this out. Fallout for PC, Fallout 2 for PC, Fallout Tactics for PC. What do they all have in common? Fallout. Come on, guys. Oh, and also,
Computers!
these games only released on PC. Even though they were received and sold well, compared to console RPG sales, they were getting annihilated. Interplay already became a publicly traded company to not go bankrupt during Fallout 2's development. Almost going bankrupt, though, would be good news because it will get so much worse for Interplay, but for now they have a decision to make. Go the bold and brash starving artist route and continue to make critically acclaimed RPGs for a smaller market, or put Fallout on those juicy consoles.
We need money!
For Interplay, the decision was obvious. The decision had been made. A Fallout game will release on home consoles. A Fallout Brotherhood of Steel type game. It's important for game development to start off on the right foot. Really start strong so you finish strong. So Brotherhood of Steel readied up at the starting line, a big smile on its face, such childlike whimsy in those eyes. And the ref shot it with the starting pistol, because this game would be troubled from the very start. The creative spark behind the original Fallout was essentially imagining what the future would look like according to the 1950s, and how that future was just as doomed to repeat the mistakes of a less advanced time. Human nature is cyclical and we're always doomed.
War never changes.
Yeah, got it. Thanks, Ron. Peek into the mind of Brotherhood of Steel's creative spark, though, and you see where we're headed here.
Fallout as an action game for the console. Holy crap, Lois! You may not get to run up to a rad scorpion, hit it with a super sledgehammer, hear the crack of its shell, and see the guts flying all in real time. I can then switch to my backup, a minigun, and slice in half a super mutant with a hail of lead. Oh yeah, I'm in.
Or how about that Brotherhood of Steel would, quote, stress more action in combat than the PC versions, which placed a greater emphasis on RPG elements or strategy. Fallout fans were obviously a bit nervous. The mere idea of a Fallout game on console back then was blasphemous. Your worst nightmares have been realized, kids. Oh my god, clowns. Fallout is going on consoles. Oh yeah, that too. Up until this point, Fallout was a PC darling, and PC users thought that console gamers were dumb little troglodytes that only know how to press power button and shoot, and hot woman. But PC users, they were much smarter, because mouse. There was concern that the prestige and subtlety of Fallout would be stripped down to appeal to a more general, younger, teenage console audience. And well, their fears weren't entirely unfounded. Take a look at the trailer for Fallout 2, and look very closely to see if you can find any small differences with Brotherhood of Steel's trailer.
Fallout, an increasingly important word in the atomic and hydrogen age. Can be very dangerous if you don't know what to do about it. Do you know what to do about it, Grandpa?
Not yet, young man.
Be ready to assist in defense preparations in your community if your help is needed.
Let's go kill some ass mother.
And Raiders.
This is better than sex.
If the PC Fallout game's aesthetics were goth, then Brotherhood of Steel is cyber goth. This game ramped everything up to 10, added some random curse words, and said, "F you, brother, I'm forklift certified." When asked if anyone from the original games were working on Brotherhood of Steel, the devs responded with, no. Not off to a great start, and the more marketing that dropped, the clearer the picture became of who the developers were really appealing to. For example, this is what one of the bosses looks like. That's not too bad, I don't see anything wrong with... Oh. I see. Screenshots of her start making the rounds on the Fallout forums, and the reaction is not good. Actually, most of the female characters' designs looked rather... generous. There's enough backlash that on official Interplay Q&As, they have to explain that it's actually a lore reason, but we already knew what kind of men they were. I guess the best way to get a console gamer's attention is bazongas, am I right, fellas? Woo! Oh yeah! More Brotherhood of Steel updates were just more fuel on the fire. Hammer, dynamite, rocket launcher, just a few tools to rebuild society. How about some grout? We get a sneak peek at some of the characters you'll get to play as in this game, and they are just so epic. Like this guy Cyrus, seems pretty edgy and cool.
Nobody messes with my home.
Until you realize it's the same voice actor as Principal Lewis.
Who wants to see me pee on this cake?
Okay, well, we've got another character, Nadia, you can play as. What's she all about?
I was born just after the bombs fell. This was my playground. These were my toys.
Wait a second, she was born just after the bombs fell? How old are you? The Fallout community was quick to point that one out, and once again the developers had to clarify that it was just a voice acting mistake.
Maybe.
In the same trailer, the Brotherhood of Steel logo was changed from a pseudo-feudal vibe of the sword and gears to guns. Fans had a good laugh at that one, to the point where in the final game it was changed back to the sword. Gaming journalists who received early access copies were gifted this press kit, which contained a video on the birds and the bees as well as some Fallout condoms. That's gotta be a rumor, right? There's no way they would.
We at Vault-Tec encourage you to use restraint when it comes to self-pleasure.
However, the Fallout condoms have not been documented and are technically lost media, so if you want to crack this lost media mystery, then post them somewhere on the internet. Interviews with the game's audio designer revealed that the soundtrack for Brotherhood of Steel would feature bands like Slipknot, Killswitch Engage, and Skin Lab. All bands that embody the cleanliness of 1950s America.
The dark and aggressive nature of this music,
like the Fallout games themselves,
gives the soundtrack a feeling of honesty and depth from the musicians who do this best.
Lowbrow was too classy for this game, but they went lower. Interplay made Flash games to generate hype. One of them is definitely not Frogger, and the other is a shooting gallery where the grand prize is a date with the female protagonist.
Give me something for the pain and let me die.
During development, we also Balls Energy. Drink Balls Energy. Interplay signed a deal with the energy drink company Balls as a promotional tie-in for Brotherhood of Steel, meaning there would be in-game advertisements for Balls Energy. Certainly not the first time a game has done real-world advertising, but the real nail in the coffin is that the in-game currency would be branded Balls bottle caps, the currency that you use all the time while playing. That's such aggressive product placement. It'd be like if your only healing item in Resident Evil was Bush's country-style honey-flavored baked beans. This video is sponsored by Bush's Country Style. World War Z levels of product placement aside, this move was not out of place for Interplay, seeing as their slogan was by gamers for gamers. And I'll give them this. What more does a gamer love than their balls and bazongas? Or a $50 price tag, which back then was a AAA price, which means AAA big boy expectations. I'm sure this game will deliver. All these shenanigans decimated any faith the Fallout community had in this game, and the crusade against Brotherhood of Steel began. Every new screenshot or render.
No thanks.
Official developer updates are ripped apart. This was not the Fallout game people wanted, as the answer to whether or not we get the true Fallout 3 grew more and more distant. Brotherhood of Steel was so wildly different from any other Fallout game that journalists started asking Interplay, you guys sure about this? In Interplay's defense, they did own the IP, and they're allowed to make the game they want. Also, Fallout fans did take things a little far. Instead of Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, someone coined the term Fallout POS, a name that has still stuck to this day. Threads breaking down 27 reasons why this game is trash. Reasons like a truck with headlights on. Someone forgot Fallout 2. Interplay forums are brigaded and shut down. There's talks of boycotts, hiding copies of the game so people can't buy it. If you see someone buying it, attack them. Thread quarantined. So much hate and controversy, and the game wasn't even out yet. The same fans that had built up Interplay had become their biggest detractors, to use Interplay's own words. Why did this game go in such a weird direction? Well, the answer is simple.
It's money.
Interplay is to money what oil is to water. They don't mix well, and the valuable stuff seems to float to the top. We've heard rumblings of some problems before, but it's far worse than you could ever imagine. In 1999, fresh off the heels of Fallout 2, Interplay was already firing people and posting millions in losses only a year after going public. They needed a sugar daddy investor to keep them afloat. That is until they were purchased by the French company Titus Interactive, the same company behind Superman 64 and Cow the Kangaroo.
I'm in danger!
So by the time Brotherhood of Steel was in development, they were now under the thumb of a far bigger company. Soon after they're purchased, and the founder of Interplay dips out, and stock prices tank further. In 2000, Interplay's stock was priced at around $4 per share, and by the time Brotherhood of Steel was released, it's at
62 cents!
Who's there? Oh, it's the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, and they're here to drop a truth bomb. In Interplay's 2003 earning reports, they're posting a capital deficit of around $18 million. The total value of the entire company's assets is $7,000. To try and pay this deficit, they primarily use credit and cash advances on their new games. Their entire plan to make money was one giant IOU. Oh, actually, it's not just IOUs, but the release of new titles. If your main source of income is from making games, what would you do in this position? Well, Interplay's solution was to fire even more people that make those games. By 2004, the same year Brotherhood of Steel came out, they couldn't afford to pay some employees.
I'll offer you a nice egg in this trying time.
And were facing eviction from their offices. Interplay's debts were getting way out of hand. You know what's a great way to not save money? Lawsuits. A single lawsuit has the potential to bankrupt someone, but Interplay's approach to the legal system was kinda just this.
I have a permit. This just says I can do what I want.
The amount of lawsuits surrounding this game and its publisher is borderline chicanery, Before Brotherhood of Steel, Interplay published a game called Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. They really missed a perfect Balls Energy promo here, but whatever. Dark Alliance did pretty well, but was replaced by the passage of time, until early reviews for Brotherhood of Steel release. Immediately, both fans and reviewers noticed the similarities between Dark Alliance and Brotherhood of Steel, which makes sense seeing as Brotherhood of Steel used the same engine as Dark Alliance. I mean, this shouldn't be a big deal, right? Fallout reuses engines all the time. Wait, no, this game is like straight up a clone. It looks identical. The owners of the game engine said,
"This kind of looks like the game you already made. You wouldn't have happened to use our game engine without paying royalties or asking for our permission, would you?"
No. What are you talking about? The lawsuit meant that Interplay no longer had the rights to make games using the Dungeons & Dragons IP, an IP so recognizable that it's like printing your own money. Gone. Don't worry too much though. Interplay will get the license back in a few years, after another lawsuit with Atari of all people. It's like two diseased rats fighting over a piece of moldy cheese. Great, another knock at the door.
I'm Commander Shepard.
Oh, hello BioWare.
I'm Commander Shepard.
Wait, what's that? You're ending your contract with Interplay and claiming they've been sub-licensing games without your consent or paying you royalties? Lawsuit. At the very least, we at Interplay can count on our dear publisher Vivendi to pay us on time and not force us to miss lucrative make-or-break holiday deadlines, or worst case scenario, force us into more legal problems. And while all of this is happening, Interplay's safety net and parent company, Titus, is getting messed up. They're also bleeding money, and only a year after Brotherhood of Steel releases, they go belly up. The writing was on the wall at Interplay, and it said, "What are your soft skills?" Interplay started downsizing, teams shrank, entire studios were reduced to atoms. One of those studios being Black Isle. While the team at Interplay was making Brotherhood of Steel, Black Isle was hard at work making Fallout 3/Van Buren. Money was tight, and Fallout 3 was getting far too expensive. Employees at Black Isle start leaking that entire teams were getting laid off or moved on to other projects. It culminated in the eventual shutdown of Black Isle. But this is all just a lie, said Interplay, because technically Black Isle still had people working there. A whopping 2 people. The death of Black Isle Studios meant that Fallout 3 was forever gone. Brotherhood of Steel would be the last Fallout game we could get. The swan song of these post-apocalyptic masterpieces would be sung by Skin Lab. Brotherhood of Steel was at an impossible standard, having to balance the weight of 2 comparisons. It couldn't be another spin-off that underperformed, while also needing to surpass the expectations of a game that would never happen. A once B-tier project at Interplay now had the weight of the entire company on its shoulders. Studios that aren't on the brink of collapse with infinitely more money and time have buckled under less pressure. Did you really think the odds were ever in their favor?
Just so unrelentingly horrible.
This is a pretty pointless, unfulfilling game to slog through.
They were just making this for like factual toddlers.
Barely a Fallout game.
No one should remember this horse shit.
Fallout Brotherhood of Steel is a janky mess.
The dust settled, and finally people got to play the game. They were whelmed. Not over or underwhelmed, but whelmed, because Brotherhood of Steel committed the cardinal sin of any piece of media. It was boring. The painful irony is that the story surrounding Brotherhood of Steel is far more interesting than the game itself. Despite what some Fallout fans may say, by no means is it the worst game ever, big rigs over-the-road racing level bad. But it's not good. I'll be nice and start with the positives. There's not a lot though. The story on paper isn't that bad and is somewhat interesting. It follows 3 Brotherhood of Steel initiates, sent on a dangerous mission to locate some missing Brotherhood of Steel paladins. Finding those paladins means those initiates get upgraded to business member of the Brotherhood of Steel. A nice little callback to the Brotherhood in Fallout 1. Long story short, and you find out that the remnants of the final boss's army from Fallout 1 is looking for a way to cure their sterility. Their sterility being the sole reason you can talk the master into offing himself originally. But we all know it's because he bought a Ford Fiesta. It is a little weird that the driving force of the plot is curing sterility considering how absurdly horny this game is, but it does tie nicely with Fallout 1's story. They got the lieutenant's voice actor back, that's always a plus.
Gods, take this idiot away.
Rural America, carbon is a ghost town.
You can play as a ghoul named Kane, and he's very able. The creature designs are cool, although the death claws kind of veer into Digimon territory. In the credits, they call out the forums that were dunking on them for a year and a half. Fair play, interplay, that's actually a justified reaction. And of course, who could forget this Martin Scorsese masterpiece of a cutscene? The gameplay is mindless and gets old immediately. You see this? This is the entire game. Mash the attack button, punch enemy, move on to next area. Mash the attack button, punch enemy, move on to the next area. Rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat.
Maybe Tide should have sponsored this game. And if it's not mindless combat arenas, then it's messy platforming or arbitrary time filler puzzles. The quest design is the bestest design. Kill X amount of enemies. Go here. Grab thing. It feels more like a grocery list than an adventure for a game that's all about adrenaline and violence. The music is dead quiet half the time. Am I in a library? The enemies are very copy and paste. The perks and leveling system is not that interesting because all it does is make your button mashing combat 23% more efficient. The dialogue is what middle schoolers think grown-ups talk like. Oh, and speaking of middle schoolers, every single woman in this game is designed for maximum puberty. So when you beat the game, one of the unlocks is the female characters as pinup models, which the official strategy guide described as saucy. Why is even the book horny? Now, that's not to say Fallout didn't have adult content before, but in Brotherhood of Steel, it's egregious. I'm not joking when I say that more effort was put into the jiggle physics than the characters' face models. And it was also pretty epic that they put the balls ad literally in the opening cutscene. So that's Brotherhood of Steel on its own merits as a video game. If you didn't know what Fallout was, then this game is meh. But that begs the question, if you didn't know what Fallout was, then what's special enough about this game to make a non-fan play it? Brotherhood of Steel's answer to that question is to call me a little bitch and flash a bazonga. As a Fallout game, though, this is a nightmare. The role-playing elements are completely gutted. Your choices don't matter, as the story will play out virtually the same no matter what. The vast open wasteland filled with rich stories to uncover has been replaced with extremely linear set pieces with nothing interesting. Just more enemies.
Now wait a second, didn't you say Fallout Tactics did the same thing?
Great question, Sentient Pig. Fallout Tactics was similar in game design, but it still looked like Fallout. The aesthetics in Brotherhood of Steel are weird. A lot of the world building that made Fallout unique has been replaced by... I don't really know a word, but it feels like they got those people behind the Carl's Jr. commercials to make this game. All subtlety, and shame, is thrown out the window. The series that parodied rampant commercialism had actual advertisements in it, and it had a poster for Fallout in Fallout. I'm not kidding, this isn't a bit, I didn't edit that. So does that mean people in universe played a game called Fallout? Are they playing Fallout in Fallout? I'm so confused. In other Fallout games, violence was more so a means to an end. I'm trying to explore this wasteland and you're in my way. That animation is not what drives you to keep playing. It's the story, the characters, and world building that keeps you hooked. The violence is like the little sprinkle on top of that story sundae. Brotherhood of Steel only eats the sprinkles. It treated the violence and edginess of Fallout as the end, not the means, completely missing why people fell in love with the franchise in the first place.
You are the product. You feeling something. That's what sells, not sex.
They made this game to try and save their company, get some quick cash, and slap the Fallout logo on it. But that is simultaneously why it failed. By trying to save the company, they tanked their most valuable brand. It's weird because this game is so hated by the Fallout community, but if this wasn't a Fallout game, then we wouldn't be talking about it. Because without the Fallout title, there's nothing special here. Its greatest contribution to the franchise is the very target it painted on its back. And that's kinda sad. It makes you wonder, were they even trying to make a Fallout game? I'll let the people behind the game speak for themselves. Brotherhood of Steel is not a continuation of the PC chronology. It's inspired by and takes place in tangent of the Fallout universe. If we had made a game set within the predetermined PC chronology, then we'd have to appease to all and every Fallout fan, We like the genre, we like the locale, but we wanted to carve out our own niche and tell our own stories. One thing you can't say about this game is that the developers didn't care about Fallout. Yes, they didn't understand what made it special, but you can tell at the very least they loved it. They were Fallout fans. This was their attempt at paying homage, a chance at a new interpretation of a beloved IP, something that's been done before to great success. To its credit, this game was the first for a lot of what Fallout fans would eventually praise: playable ghouls, a Fallout on consoles. The modding community. Brotherhood of Steel's problem was not that it reimagined Fallout or tried something new. Its problem is their reimagining was really bad, and the developers probably regretted it. But the more I pondered, the more I reflected on this mid-PS2 game from 20 years ago atop my widow's walk. I realized something. Brotherhood of Steel has more in common with one of the best Fallout games there is. This game is the anti-New Vegas. Both are spin-offs of a Fallout 3. Both spin-off titles are following a new interpretation of the franchise. Both were made under a strict timeline and stressful work conditions. Both are asset flips of a previous game engine, but where pressure in one case made diamonds, in the other it made a can of balls energy. So here lies the remains of Fallout's Redacted spin-off, a game and at one point a franchise that tried everything to justify its own identity. This game didn't smash records, shocker, and led to Fallout being sold to Bethesda. So in a weird way, Brotherhood of Steel did end up giving us Fallout 3. Brotherhood of Steel's legacy is the coffee stain on Fallout's resume that no one wants to take credit for spilling. Some developers claim the game came out the way it did because of management's meddling. Some say they had help from Black Isle, while others claim they never met. The truth is that, like most stories of video game development, there is no villain. There was no smoky backroom of evil managers plotting how they could destroy the franchise. It's just people doing the job they were paid to do, and making decisions that they thought at the time were the right ones. Brotherhood of Steel was a case of misguided new ideas, immense pressure, and no money. Everyone cheers when a game hits the mark, but sometimes it's more fun watching a faceplant, which is precisely what happened when Fallout fell off, and the end of Fallout's world wound up paving the way for a new beginning.
We need money!